So this is BlissVille, Misadventures in BlissVille. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome Steve Trillovas from the Saints of 35th Street to the program. Steve was in my documentary, American Punk NYPP, from... that's really kind of funny when you say it that way, NYPP.
Yeah.
From 2005, recommended and suggested by Jonnie Whoa Oh, John Valfiatis. And I remember, I'll never forget, I was listening to the record, and I say to Johnny, this guy can sing, what the fuck? And he's like, oh yeah, Steve can sing like a mofo. I was thinking that should be like a title blurb on the record. Like on the cover, Steve sings like a mofo. So I'm really happy he's here today. This is the day after Easter. How was your Easter?
It was fucking horrible. I got kicked out of my parents' house.
Oh, Jesus, that's not good. So you've been living with your parents?
No. I actually, I live in Jersey City, but like Easter is, I guess, the big thing around my family because it's the one thing my mother hosts. But it's like every time I go home, it always turns into like some big Greek tragedy, and this time it was the same thing. I kind of like ended up with my mother in tears, got kicked out of the house for something that I seemingly have.
What is it that you think you did? To your knowledge.
We're just talking about stuff, and like people were just getting on me for not necessarily being close with a lot of family members, and it's kind of like you're the horrible, skeptical,
So no socio-political stuff?
No. That actually probably, would be well received. But
that's what I find with what really separated me from some of my wife's family is that they're like, her father's side is like ultra conservative and always has been. And back then I was kind of like, I was a panty waist liberal bleeding heart. I remember you and I having more than a couple of conversations about Iraq back in those days.
It's funny, man, because
you were like, we have to invade Iraq. Are you kidding? And I was like, Steve,
no,
I'm have to live together on this earth. And you were like, shut up.
No, I actually, I'm kind of like, I guess I kind of followed, the different model where usually people get more conservative as they get older. I think I've become a lot more liberal.
Really?
Yeah.
Or things changed as a result of children. As soon as we had Reagan, I threw all the liberal stuff out the window. Now
Yeah.
I'm not a conservative. I don't consider myself a conservative. I think the Democrats and the Republicans are both full of shit. Really.
Yeah.
I'm more of a libertarian myself. I kind of believe in reason and decency, common sense, things like that, and stuff like. He's a nice guy. To quote Christian Bale, "You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy." But but Obama, I think his Obamacare was really kind of a mess.
Well,
it's hard. It really messed up our insurance too. I mean,
yeah, it's my bass player who he's my drummer and my bass player. They run a recording studio out of Jersey City called Treehouse Sound, so they're kind of self-employed.
Where this record was recorded, by the way, let's put that up there. This is the Saints of 35th Street. Sorry for the mess, and this is an awesome, and this is vinyl too. He gave me vinyl, which is like I got a record player downstairs. I'm gonna have to bring that up, turn it up, rip off the knob, as they used to say.
Terrorize your daughter. No,
she loves the music. Yes, it is, actually. Yes, it is. Except this one was built in 1925, and,
so it's craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Rock won't take this house down. But in any event, like, he just got hit with one of those penalties. I don't know how much it was, but, he... I'm not saying he's not, like, living hand-to-mouth or anything, but, like, anything...
He was uninsured?
He was uninsured.
So,
and I kind of had to, because I work in the healthcare industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot about this stuff, so the two of them actually asked me to give them like a one-on-one, like a insurance 101, prep talk, and they got all jazzed up that they're finally going in, signing up on the exchange to get insurance, and then a couple months later it was the first penalty, I guess, from not being insured last year. So I mean, there's a lot of hidden evils.
That was the thing. When we did our taxes, my accountant, he's like, you guys aren't on insurance, right? Because this is like 5 separate forms if it's not. And I'm like, yeah, we're on insurance. But the thing is, they switched. We're on my wife's insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So the company that she works for changed their insurance because they knew it was going to cost more. So they put her on a different plan, and that's a whole other... I don't go to the doctor, but, you know, the kid goes to the doctor, and my wife goes to the doctor, so, you know.
Yeah, well...
I'll let myself rot in this place. I don't even care. I hate doctors. I can't stand them.
I hate doctors, too, but I've, like, especially in the past couple of months, I've had a couple of things where I needed to, unfortunately, you know, go see someone. Mm-hmm. You know, my plan changed now, where the insurance that I had...
Wasn't severe rectal trauma, was it?
No, it wasn't.
I'm sorry,
Mild.
I just have to throw that in.
Mild.
There's my daughter, by the way. I just crack a joke like that. Anyway.
It's... but any of it, now everything's deductible. So it's kind of like, there's some things I actually wanted to go... You know, once I actually realized what the benefits were on my current plan, you know, I realized, wow, you know... I have to incur several $1,000s worth of bills before they even start covering, and then it's $75.25.
Yeah.
So what you're going to see in the next couple of years is a lot of employers are going to start dumping all their employees onto private exchanges.
Yeah.
So
or making them part time. I don't know.
Yeah.
The old UPS maneuver.
Yeah.
So this is from the website saintsof35thstreet.com. Check it out. That's www.saintsof35thstreet.com. It's my Howard Stern. What do you think about that? This is some of the bio. The Saints of 35th Street started out as 4 guys from Queens, New York, who wanted to be professional musicians. They failed. Originally formed in 2000 by founding members Stevie T, right over here, Ant Ranieri, Bluto Fristacci, and Jimmy Doom.
Yep.
Jimmy Doom sounds like the bad guy in a Marvel comic. Jimmy Doom is Doctor Doom's son.
Yeah.
He's in a punk band. He's like, get out of here.
Also, strongman competitor. He was a big motherfucker.
Oh, okay. I'll stop with the jokes now. The band quickly gelled and hit the studio that fall to record their debut album, A Breath Away From My Last, which is the one that I listened to before. I listened to that a million times, and we used some of the music in the documentary. The album received little critical acclaim. I don't think that's true. Come on. And even less audience acclaim. Internal tensions were exacerbated by Joe's impending enrollment in the police academy, Tom pursuing a career teaching mentally retarded children. Those goofy bastards are just about the best part of my day. Anyway, I just had to use that. There's something about Mary quote. Despite these facts, the team decided to hit the studio in 2002, lay down their follow-up ET, learning to let go. I think I might have that one too. By the time, I do. By the time they left the studio, lineup had officially dissolved. Soon divorced and destitute. Yep. Steve took up songwriting again in 2009, looking to form another band, calling on friends Matt Castellano and Ronaldo Morelli. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
as well as a longtime partner, Jimmy Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, no more jokes about Jimmy. The group, he's going to be smashing a door in a second. The group would assemble in the familiar confines of Astoria, Queens, which is where we are right now, BlissVille. They took the name Stevie T and the Italians. Hey.
Italians, actually.
Italians. Italian.
Yeah.
Like they say in the South.
That's
you
right.
one of them Italian fellows with your marinara sauce.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, those were a bunch of ginzaloons. Like, Ronaldo, you know, it's basically the whole band name was actually a takeoff of Ronaldo because he would walk around with black socks and Fila flip-flops.
Oh.
So it's like...
What the...
The guy
did he wear an Argyle sweater and some Bermuda shorts
no,
too?
it was always a V-neck white T-shirt.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, and he had like 4 different types of
like Robert Loggia in every movie wears a V-neck T-shirt. Are you the only non-Italian, or
I was the only non-Italian in that band?
So it should
That's
have been
why it was
like
Stevie T
and the Wops
and the Italians
and the Guidos and the Greaseballs and God, these guys are gonna freaking kill me, man. Played 3 unremarkable shows with the band members, understanding there wasn't much promise in their endeavors. They just did you write this bio, Steve?
Yeah.
That's why it's so cheery. That's why it's so yeah. We did this thing and nobody gave a shit. No,
I thought it was kind of funny actually.
You know, press releases. I mean, and when you get press agents to write bios, they usually build you up, make you sound bigger than you are. You have made you guys have an incredible band. You've made it sound as though you're like, some kind of like weird Spinal Tap that doesn't sell. So later that year, Stevie...
you know what? I'm actually happy to report that I have not sold a single album.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, you gave me this one.
That's what I did.
You're in the red here.
No,
I mean, you're in a black. Yeah, you're
because what I wanted to do. You know, like some albums go platinum. I wanted to take one of these records and spray it with stainless steel spray paint and say that it went tin for selling zero
That's cute.
records.
Yeah,
Well,
that would be great.
I'm a cute guy.
So later that year, Steve would meet and befriend Pete Hogan, who recognized Steve from the YouTube videos he saw of him playing guitars in his pajamas. All right, that's a story I guess you got to share. Two would frequently collaborate musically together. Steve penned an album's worth of new material, reclaiming the moniker Saints of 35th Street. Too soon Luke to fill out the rest of the roster. Steve called on his old pals Matt, Ronaldo, and Jimmy, flesh out the lineup, work on material for the new release. What is this? Steve and Pete, however, found traveling 20 minutes to Queens in order to practice to be a hassle and opt to strike out on their own. Again, clever. They would soon book time at Treehouse Sound, like we talked about, in Jersey City. I'm sorry, this Colt 45 is making me burp here. To move forward with recording of the in the summer of 2014. So how did you manage to get Jody Porter on the record here?
So this whole thing is probably semi related to Jody Porter. So Jody from Fountains of Wayne, he was recording his solo album. It's called Month of Mondays. It was just recently released. It's great. You should check it out. So I live in Jersey City, above a place called Zeppelin Hall, which is a beer garden like the beer garden here in Astoria.
That's where me and Brown got married. Yeah.
So there's a beer garden over there, and me being a drunk, I usually hang out there. And one day I saw some like wormy looking guy, really the guy, he drinking. Listen, he looks like well, all right, wormy's not the right word, but he looked like a drunk Mick Jagger, and had like a striped shirt on.
If you said wormy, I was thinking of John Cazale in The Godfather. Fredo.
Yeah, no, not like that.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
Jody does have a bit of a Muppet quality to him.
Muppet.
But
ooh, that's fucked up.
So me and my buddy Pete were drinking. We were totally wrecked, and we saw Jody, and Jody was, I didn't know who he was, but he looked pretty cool. And he was wearing a striped shirt, so I just yelled, "Hey, Stripes, you want a shot?" Mm-hmm. And we just started drinking, found out about him, and we became buddies. Peter actually played for Jody in his band when he was doing a couple of gigs in the city this past summer. And, he introduced me to Wes and Frank, who owned Treehouse. And, he played a couple of solos on the album, and I think it turned out really well.
Yes, it did. It's a fantastic, sonically, it's like getting kicked in the nuts with a guitar, right? And then there's your voice, and your voice complements the guitar work incredibly well, and it is part of that. It is. This feels like listening to it. I said to Bronwyn that it felt like it was a monster.
Yeah,
like there was something there. There's like this angry, aggressive, brutal beast. It's also really good, just sonically to listen to. Put that on. I'm gonna crank that shit after you go. I'm going to put it on the stereo because I got to break in my new speakers anyway. I wanted to listen to something really loud. In your time off, like after we were done, we finished shooting. I'll talk a little bit about that damn movie, okay? But you got married to Jillian?
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of odd, right? Because I think when you were actually shooting that movie...
You guys were dating.
I don't even think... I think we started dating as you were doing... that film.
Okay.
This was kind of like, we literally just we knew each other, but we literally just started dating. So it's kind of ironic.
By the time, now, and what I remember is by the time we finished shooting and we were in the editing stage, you guys were already kind of doing the engaged thing. You guys were going around together, inseparable, and all this stuff. You went to parties and picnics and dressed up and looking kind of respectable, right? Well, you were. Jillian was already respectable, though. But now, the thing about Jillian was she was a very integral piece in the documentary because, everybody loved her. Number one, she was a much-needed girl in the movie because I had to get a lot of cheesecake into the thing because there were a lot of guys. It was like a sausage fest, the whole thing. So I was like talking to Johnny, and Johnny was like, okay, Hallie from The Unlovables, Pia, Galaxy Rodeo, Jeannie from Dirt Bike Annie, and then there's Jillian. Jillian is like part of that scene, and everybody I still have, okay, this is so weird. I got to tell him something. This is very important. I still have a little notebook that Chad Durkins wrote. 100 Things I Love About Jillian. It's still in my basement right there. I don't know why he gave it to me. But it's like the cutest thing in the world. I scanned a bunch of pages and put it in there. So number 2, she had a youthful naivete, and she had like a friend and fans outlook. And so we loved her. We got along with her right away. And we took her out to Astoria Park where she did all her interview stuff. And it's like, that's the one thing that the guys, when they looked at the movie, that they said, keep Jillian in because she's like really strong and it works. So can you, I know, you probably, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but if you want to talk about the relationship a little bit.
Well, listen, I mean, Steve Trillevis as a 24 to, like in my mid-20s is a totally different person than I am now. I will say that I was a lot more selfish. I was a lot more of an asshole. And Jillian was a very headstrong person as well. So when you have two people, one person that, is very principled and she wants what she wants, and then I'm kind of, I was kind of raised with a very kind of me mentality, which kind of, unfortunately, the divorce is the one thing that I think kind of made me learn that and made me change my behavior. I'm still a bit of a prick, but I think from Jillian really, and the whole Jillian experience really helped me kind of learn a lot of my faults and kind of see, sorry, it allowed me to kind of realize what the errors in a lot of the things that I was doing or the way that I carried myself. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense, and that sounds pretty like gibberish.
No. I talk like that all the time, and people always look at me like, what? But no, I can safely say that you said you were no, you weren't. You were one of the nicest people that we dealt with. Actually,
you didn't know me too well, though. So that's the thing.
You came in, and we all liked you immediately. If we like you immediately, that's,
But you know what? You're not living with me. So that's no,
I don't have to wash your underwear, but
so there's a difference between the person that you can come out and show in social events and the person that you have to live with day in and day out. So
I know. Ask my wife.
But I will say that one of the greatest things that I miss about that whole thing is Jillian's family. I don't have a great relationship with my family.
Yeah. Me
so
neither.
when I got married, I kind of adopted her family as my family, and
same here, because I don't really have one for myself, and they kind of they adopted me.
So one of the hardest things is when you make a split like that. You lose everything. You lose the family, and
they liked you, but the thing is, I know my wife's family would be like, hey, if you want to get remarried, go ahead, get rid of this guy.
No, I listen. I mean, like right now, I still, unfortunately, Jillian's father passed, and I remember
I met him.
Yeah, he was a fucking prick on wheels, but you gotta love him.
He had a very strong handshake. Oh my God. He was like one of these guys where he'd squeeze you and take every ounce of manhood out of you just staring at you.
No, but I mean, I still trade texts every now and then with her brother and her mother, and
so you stay in contact.
Yeah, like tangentially. I mean. Nothing, we're not super close, obviously, but it's good still to keep in touch with them.
Right.
But it's not, like it was. I kind of really did consider all of them like my family. And
so how many years were you married?
2.
Just two.
Two, and on the 2nd year anniversary, I remember we went to some place called Sawgrass in Newark, and we were just like sitting there eating, staring at each other, and we just knew the inevitable that this was about to crumble. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, right now I don't know. I think she's somewhere out in the West Coast because like when you marry Steve Trillovis and you want to leave, you get the fuck far away. Yeah. It seems like every one of my ex-girlfriends always moves out to the West Coast. So she went to Wyoming. I know that, and I think she's still somewhere out there.
What the hell is in Wyoming?
I'm not sure, but Wyomingans.
Well,
so yeah, that's that. I mean, it was a couple. I was with her for like, I would say 5 years in total. 2003 to 2008, married in 2006. Well, one good thing is I wrote a lot of good songs after the breakup. Okay. So I wish her all the best.
About that. But the thing is, marriage is tough. It's incredibly tough. It's not what you think it's going to be when you're with the person that you're with. And number one, you don't have to look at her every day. Number two, you don't have to live with her. And you think that everything is so great. And you think about this even when you're just dating a girl or dating anybody really. And before you even think about marriage or anything, you're thinking, oh my God, I could totally marry this girl. We could be happy and live together, blah, blah, blah. It just gets so... I don't want to sound messed up, but I'm not... Maybe I should cut that out. I don't want to sound... but the thing is... the hardest part, I guess, is being able to deal with someone's faults. Like, I live with practically a perfect woman, right? I'm loaded with faults. Except last night, she drove me fucking nuts. For like an hour and a half, I'm lying in bed next to her, and she's snoring. And I'm trying to push her over.
You do snore.
Do you snore?
Regan, I don't think... You know what?
I have no idea.
You're not awake when it happens, right?
You know who snore? One of my cats. I have two cats. You don't see him right now. I got this big cat. His name is Little. And he talks in his sleep, too. It's like...
You mean my cat?
Yeah,
that
sure,
you
cat.
You wanted to kill?
I only want to kill him because he doesn't know how to use the litter box. Anyway...
Yeah, so do I.
That stays in. All right, let's move on. Recently, some people were putting up some clips of the movie, and I've been getting feedback, so I got into it and started putting up clips. So this came about because when the idea was advanced that I should start my own podcast, I was talking to a podcast expert, my friend Mark, who's got a bunch of podcasts. He's like,
this is going to take all day.
Thanks, sweetie. So he says, you've had a lot of interesting experiences. You made the movies. Some of them were not released in any official capacity, so you have a lot of stories you can tell. And I've known a lot of interesting people. And American Punk was what really piqued their interest. And I was curious after 10 years what all the principal people thought of the idea of going back to the movie after so much time had passed. So I go to the boards, and I know Mark Enoch and Knock Knock Records they had a page there dedicated to the movie, and I kept going back to it every year. So I go to the boards, and I got pissed off because it went from being like people were very excited about the movie to getting pissed over the course of like 10, 15, or it's just 10 years actually, 5 to 10 years. It was like, ooh, when is the movie coming out? And then like 5 years later, like, fuck, this piece of shit. It's a piece of shit, and a bunch of people were like actively dissing it that were actually a part of it, and that really made me angry. And I knew a lot of these opinions were based on like early cuts that I made in the movie, or just like somebody telling them. It was like, oh, don't waste your time. So people.
Well, I'll tell you this: music in general is a very fickle environment. And would you be extremely happy with, a lot of your tastes or a lot of the things artistically you've done 10 years ago? Because seriously, do anything. All right,
make a really good point.
10 years ago, it's dated. Yeah. It's not long enough to make a comeback, and so
that is true.
So seriously, if you made a documentary about Steve Trillovis 10 years ago, I would think this is the corniest, most horrible thing. You know why? Because
not if I made it, baby.
it's 10 years ago. So, that's kind of like a death knell of it's not long enough where it's kind of cool because it's so old, but it's...
Well, yeah, you make a really good point, but I made a bunch of movies back then that, no, I don't want to look at again. I think they're terrible. I think what I was at that time, 10 years ago, I was like an art school film. Ooh, it's so important and everything. But American Punk is that rare exception. I busted my ass. I wanted to do this, in a way that would be like, people would look at it. Oh my God, it's like and now, I feel like it's like a period piece because you're looking at a time that doesn't exist anymore in the city.
Yeah.
We went to CBGB. That's not there anymore.
Yeah.
We went to Lux in Williamsburg. We went to the Continent. These places are not there anymore.
Nope.
This club scene is dead, and pop punk is dead pretty much. It was an incredible piece of musical history, and it's in this movie. And yes, a lot of the people that are involved aren't making music anymore. It's sad. I don't want to think about it. But you are.
A lot of people still in that movie, at least they still are. I'm not sure what's going on with Dirt Bike Annie. They were, to be fair, I was like a fringe on that scene. The only reason why I'm even remotely connected to it is because John Vafiatis is one of my best friends.
Right.
So I was never, part of that scene.
You played a couple of shows.
Yeah, we played shows just because, once again, I'm a friend with them, so I'd get on some of their bills. Mm-hmm. But as far as, the bigger scene, yeah, I don't think, I wasn't part, I was, hanging around, Graf and all them when the Steinways formed, but, so I kind of hung out with them a little bit. But it's really, my friendships were, John, Chris Militello, mm-hmm. Chris Plum, Charles Forkas. They were kind of buddies that I knew in high school. Mm-hmm. They kind of they practiced at my mother's house for a little bit when they first started that band, Triple Bypass and all that shit. But sorry. Yeah. Where the hell am I going with this? I have no idea.
You were talking about how you weren't necessarily connected to them musically, just connected to them through friendship.
But a lot of them are still playing. I know John is doing various musical endeavors. I know he works for the Chris Gethard show, and a lot of them do. Yeah. So that's a great thing that's going. I know the Unlovables are playing again.
Well, I don't know. I think Hallie started a new band. She started something else, but they jump from band to band mainly. I think maybe the Unlovables, the most we can say is that they're on an extended hiatus for the moment.
And Mike Erg is kind of like he is extremely prolific, and I think he's probably one of the most energetic drummers.
He's the busiest drummer in the world.
And actually, before. I actually wanted to have Mike play on my album. It just didn't, for some reason, it just, timing didn't necessarily...
Because he's got 15 other bands.
Yeah. So, but luckily, I went to the studio, and the person that owns the studio drums, so I just sent him demos, and he drummed. So, but, Mike does a lot, man. It's really fun following him and learning what he's doing.
It was like that CBGB show, 3 of the 4 bands that were playing, he was in.
Yeah.
So he had to continually go up there on the stage.
Though I will say, outside of the Ergs, the best band he's ever played in was the Used Kids. I'm not sure if you ever heard them.
Heard. Yeah. I have a couple of demos.
Yeah, Midwest Midsummer. Oh my God, Famarón. It was fantastic.
Well, I still listen to Dork Rock Cork Rod.
Yeah, that's great, man.
That to me was the pinnacle. That and the Unlovables is pretty odd because Regan learned how to dance listening to the Unlovables, and I am thanked in the liner notes, which is awesome. I called Johnny. I spoke to him 2 weeks ago, and we got into a shouting match about this because I was pissed off because some of these comments were made by Grivet, and some of them were made by Durkins. And I was pissed because I felt like they were lying. I felt like that they were just spreading bullshit about the movie because they didn't like it, or they didn't like themselves being in it, or something like that. But again, this is the price you pay with musicians, and you know this. You just said it. Musicians are even harder to deal with than actors. They are they're insanely insecure about how they appear, about their image. I'm not going into you specifically, Steve.
Listen, man, this fucking thing is bothering me. I don't like being fucking filmed.
There it is. No. But, you know, I mean, it's like they were actually, Grivet and Durkins were the easiest people to deal with. If there was one person I argued with, mainly when I was shooting, was probably Jonnie.
Oh, yeah, that's a fucking surprise.
Later on, I mean, it turns out Jonnie is more amenable because he kept his mouth shut during all this back and forth banter on the boards, which is the smartest thing he could have done. But I said to Jonnie, I was pissed off. I don't want people dissing this movie who haven't seen it. I busted my ass. I want to put it out there. He's like, why? Why do you want to do this? And I was like, for spite. I want to put the movie out for spite. I don't care. Let them make up their own mind, right? And if they don't like it, hell, at least they had an informed opinion. Don't let them go around talking about. And really, I think that Chris and Chad are just sort of forgetting about the movie. They just want to pretend that it didn't. But the thing is, I don't really think that was the case, because I think they had a lot of fun making the movie, and I think they had a lot of fun figuring it out during the editing.
Like, once again, I will say, I think it's a time capsule, and you know, I'm going to be honest, I never watched it because of what I told you the other day.
I'm going to get angry from the small liquor. It's making me angry now.
Yeah, I know. Well, listen, thank God. That's why I didn't bring over the Steel Reserve. If it was the Steel Reserve, you would have punched me in the face right now. No, but I remember I was a shit talker when I was younger, and I think I talked a lot of shit. From the clip that you posted the other day, it didn't seem like any of that made it, which was good. But I just talked a lot of shit.
You have to trust the editor. They know how to make you look good.
So, no.
That was a great story. I love that story.
But, no, I mean, right now it's a time capsule, and it's something that you worked hard on, so
yeah,
why not put it out there? I mean,
3
like
years.
I said, once again...
I spent more time on this movie than I did anything.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's with any... You know, music is something that is always going to be a contemporary style. You know, you want to kind of keep current, and if it's something from 10 years ago or 12 years ago, it's you know, it's I could see why musicians would not necessarily want something released then.
That's
but,
hard.
you know,
that's the hardest part.
But I'll tell you this though, I think everyone will be happy down the road when they actually have a preserved, you know, document of something that they were passionate about and something that they, you know. So it's, you know,
when they grow up.
Yeah. No, well,
they're still youngins.
Not anymore, man. I mean, like, swear to God, that is probably the hardest thing that I'm dealing with is just getting old. You know, being a kind of middle-aged guy. I mean, let me ask you a question. How has your life changed when you became a father? I mean,
it changed in every way. It changed politically. It changed my artistic motivation because we had a little bit of money, right? And I was like, okay, I've got some money. Should I make a movie, or should we move? And our apartment was crumbling. I mean, you were there when we shot. The place was crumbling, and they obviously wanted us out so they could renovate. We were like the last people in the building before we finally left. So I was like, you know, we had no space. We had the baby.
Sorry.
And I was like, all right, we'll go upstate. So we got a house up in Brewster. And we lived there for 4 years before we were chased out of there. So we took, you know, pretty much blew through that money doing that. So I had to, you know, for when Regan was born, which was Christmas of 2006, from then on, it's been about her until she's grown up now. Obviously, she's capable of walking around, taking care of herself, but she was a baby at one point, and you don't think about anything except keeping her fed, keeping her warm. You want to stand in front of the camera while I say this and smile? So, I mean, that was like the most important part, and it always will be. But the great thing about it is, when you get older, the great thing about this is you get wiser.
Mm-hmm.
You do really get wiser. I mean, like, I feel like I know things now that I would have never known in my 20s. My 20s, my God, I look at myself in my 20s. I was a horrible, horrible person. I was not the kind of person. I mean, like, I was like, Jesus, I think I was obnoxious. A lot of people swear that I was really nice and everything. I was like, yeah, it's nice of you to say that, but I don't believe it for a second.